Okay, first, I need everybody to close their eyes and imagine. It's dead winter out. You're under your fuzzy warm blankets in bed. It's 7:30 in the morning, your alarm is blaring, and you have to get up for school. Now, if you think of your morning routine, what's the first thing that happens? Whether you wake up on your own, a parent wakes you up, or you make an alarm. This is the first thing you do in the morning. The majority of you will snooze your alarm, tell your parents off for 5 more minutes of sleep, or just decide to sleep it. One of the first expectations, starting as a baby, is sleeping through the night. Parents strive to have a baby that sleeps through the night at a young age. Infants actually spend most of their first year of life asleep. This time is prime time for brain development, when neural connections form and brain development is affected. So when sleep is disrupted, brain development may be affected too. So when you think about being productive and you have a big day ahead of you, you have a lot of stuff that needs to get done. You normally focus on when you need to get up in the morning to complete your tasks. But that's not what you should be focusing on. The real question is how you wake up. So if you're someone like me that snoozes their alarm almost every morning, that's what's killing your productivity. So you first have to understand that the snooze button creates a state in your brain that is called sleep inertia. Sleep inertia is a normal feeling we all experience as we transition from being fully asleep to being fully awake. People tend to experience more intense sleep inertia when they're sleep deprived. And if you are part of the 1/3 of Americans sleeping less than 7 hours a night, your tendency to hit snooze could be a result of not obtaining enough sleep. Trouble waking up is also more common in people with certain sleep disorders, mood disorders, and jobs that require them to wake up at unusual hours. So now when every one of you goes to bed at night, you enter what's called a sleep cycle. And this cycle could last anywhere from 90 to 110 minutes. And when your alarm goes off and you wake up, your brain is now in wake-up mode, and your sleep cycle is finished. And now your brain is ready to do its best work. However, if you hit the snooze button and you put yourself back into a new sleep cycle, so now when your alarm goes back off 15 minutes later, your brain is still stuck in that new sleep cycle. So that groggy feeling of still being tired after hitting the snooze button is an effect of sleep inertia. The part of your brain responsible for decision-making, critical thinking, attention, and alertness is still in that new sleep cycle. So now that you're awake, it'll take your brain another couple of hours to snap out of that sleep cycle you put yourself back into. Studies actually show that those who snooze their alarm experienced more sleep disturbances, and people who woke up naturally slept longer and drank less caffeine during the day. Studies also say that women are 50% more likely to hit snooze than men, and night owls are the most prone to hitting the snooze button and were the most tired. So sleep is an important part of your daily routine. You spend about 1/3 of your time doing it. Quality sleep and getting enough of it at the right times is essential to survival as food and water. Without sleep, you can't form or maintain the pathways in your brain that let you create new memories, and it's harder to communicate and respond quickly. Sleep is an important part to a number of brain functions, including how nerve cells communicate with each other. In fact, your brain and body stay remarkably active while you sleep. Sleep also plays a housekeeping role in removing toxins from your body that build up while you're awake. So for example, beta amyloid is a metabolic waste product that you can find in between your brain cells. And a buildup of beta amyloid is linked to impaired brain function and can even cause Alzheimer's disease. In Alzheimer's disease, beta amyloid clumps together to form amyloid plaques, which hinder communications between neurons. Sleep affects almost every type of tissue and system in the body, from the brain, heart, and lungs, to metabolism, immune function, mood, and disease resistance. A chronic lack of sleep, or getting poor quality sleep, increases the risks of disorders, including high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, and obesity. Sleep is a complex and dynamic process that affects how you function in ways scientists are now beginning to understand. Now, school always pressures you into getting at least 8 hours of sleep to be able to function in a learning environment. Studies actually show that 70% of teenagers don't get the needed hours of sleep. On top of homework, sports, work, and helping around the house, there just isn't enough time in the day. Studies show that at the age of 10, normal wake-up times on average are around 6:30 in the morning. At 16, it's 8 a.m., and at 18, it's 9 a.m. So why do administrators, teachers, and parents expect so much of their kids and students And how is it possible with such early start times for high schoolers to get enough sleep? It's actually an ongoing argument for elementary schools to start earlier in the mornings and high schoolers to start later. In many schools, teachers choose to teach memorization of material as a checkpoint in how well their students know the material or how smart the student is. Parents and teachers praise their kids on getting their homework in school on time. But sleep plays a huge role in learning material. Studies show that to absorb material taught, you must not only sleep before you learn, but also sleep after you learn to clear your mind and absorb the material. Is it really worth staying up all night doing that one homework assignment or studying for one test when you might not even retain any of the information because you didn't get much sleep? The pressure to do well in all categories of life hangs over your head. The crazy choices in life, whether to get a couple points higher on an exam or prioritize your health. Although sleep is necessary for you to live, sometimes it can be taken advantage of. Sleep is not only used as a form of rejuvenation for your body, but it could also be used as an escape from all of your problems. This is a habit that is formed for me years ago, as I'm sure some of you struggle with too. Dealing with the diagnosis of cancer in the family at such a young age, you don't know how to deal with such hardships yet. Having to be my mom, someone so important and close to me, made it even harder. Being 8 years old, you don't know how to cope with such hardships in life, so they're kind of just ignored. So as I grew older, this led to me sleeping and ignoring the situations at hand. For some reason, I had the idea that after I woke up, all of my problems would disappear. My body became so accustomed to those 30-minute naps that I took in the middle of the day that I couldn't go one day without it. Now, expectations are put upon you starting at such a young age. This is the first sign of perfectionism and meeting everybody else's life expectations of you. When I was younger, my dad would tell me to make my bed every day, although I never really did. I thought, what's the point? I'm just going to sleep in it tomorrow night, and it'll get messed up. But he was persistent in teaching me how to make my bed. So as I got older, I began to listen, and I started making my bed every day. And to this day, I do. Over time, I didn't realize it when I was younger, but that expectation that he had of me was because he wanted me to build expectations for myself, ones that I could build on. It's also the simplicity of making your bed. It doesn't take an hour to do, and yet you still feel a sense of accomplishment. Goals and expectations that I could follow were so important and that I could work on throughout the course of my life. Those goals help with time management and persistence through certain tasks. This scenario can be applied to anything you do in your life. You make certain decisions, a habit in your life, and set yourself up for success with reasonable goals and expectations for yourself. Life is full of ups and downs, and there's not much you can do to stop them. But sometimes making your bed can get you started. Oh, sorry, that was supposed to be out. As you get older, you can control the expectations thrown at you. Everybody has a first impression of you. Whether they see a made bed when you come into the room or you present yourself a certain way. In school, you can immediately be labeled in their eyes as smart or motivated or hardworking or lazy or non-motivated. But you can not only be labeled because of how you present yourself, but of your background. One of the main stereotypes surrounding our generation, Generation Z, is our supposed laziness. It may be partly attributed to the fact that our generation is composed of true digital natives. Although technology is used by all generations nowadays, growing up with technology has shaped Generation Z differently. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say in a conversation, somebody were to say to you, women are lazy. So that would be sexist, and I would hope somebody would speak out against me. Now let me give you another example. Somebody would say to you, you're lazy because of your race. That would be utterly sexist, and I would hope and assume somebody would speak the truth to me. But now, one more example. Let's say to you, I would say, kids these days are lazy. What would be the response? Would it be the same as where somebody would speak out against me? I would hope so, but afraid of someone not. So why is this ageism or youthism so socially accepted nowadays? Our culture perpetuates a lot of unrealistic expectations around sleep. And when we strive to meet unrealistic expectations, we often feel stress, guilt, and even failure when we ultimately can't. So what I'm going to need you to do is reject any generalization about low expectations about any person. You may have to cast aside your assumptions or generalizations, cast aside the labels you may have based on their style or appearance, because in order to change our school or organizations, communities, or nations, we first have to change ourselves. So stop setting unrealistic expectations for kids, and kids, get yourself going, stop hitting that snooze alarm, and prove all the stereotypes wrong. Thank you.